Queen's Park is a bastion for democratic protest. Groups of every political stripe use it as a backdrop for rallies, and that's a good thing because free speech is important in Canadian society. But is an upcoming event at the seat of the provincial parliament really nothing more than a hate rally aimed at Israel?
Well, that's the concern of Jewish groups and some members of the opposition who claim an Islamic organization making International Quds Day intends to use the protest as a hate event aimed at the destruction of Israel.
We're joined now at Queen's Park by Peter Shurman, Progressive Conservative MPP. Peter, how do you know that this protest is going to end up being hateful in nature?
History is the thing that informs the present, and the same group had a rally on the grounds of Queen's Park last year. Now, on the one hand, as you pointed out in the introduction, Queen's Park is not mine. It doesn't belong to any MPP. It belongs to the people of Ontario, and they have a right to use it for those things that they hold dear and to exercise their voice. However, there are people who believe that we have free speech as it's expressed in American movies. Canada is not a country that allows absolute free speech. We have to temper our speech to what I term freedom of expression by making sure that we don't offend others with what we have to say. And if you take a look at films, videos of last year's Al Quds rally by the same groups, there was no question in my mind that, to put it nicely, the laws governing freedom of expression in Canada were stretched, and I would say stretched severely.
All right, so given that, and just to let our viewers know, one of the reports showed that last year at the rally, speakers on hand were, for example, describing Israel as, say, a cancer that must be killed. So that's an example of the kind of speech that was reported to be taking place at this rally. So given that, and that the history is there, and the videos are there, why or how did the organizers get the permit to have this new protest take place, you know, next week?
Well, permits are not issued on a political basis. This is not about what Dalton McGuinty thinks or what I think or anybody else who is elected as a representative for the people. This is about what the Office of the Sergeant-at-Arms thinks. And I would say, using the term stretching again, they try to stretch to the point where they accommodate everybody, recognizing that Queen's Park is the people's house. Having said that, I'm not the apologist for the Sergeant-at-Arms, and I think that a mistake has been made in granting this group the privilege of using these grounds as a place for that kind of protest. I think can the permit be rescinded, Peter? I would hope that it could, and I think that the pressure that I, and frankly other MPPs are putting on the Office of the Sergeant-at-Arms can bear fruit, and that we can stop this before it starts. The bottom line here is, if one group gets to exercise its rights of free speech, do those necessarily have to impinge on another group's? I think it's important to explain that anti-Semitism takes a variety of forms. Can you criticize Israel? Of course you can, the same as anybody can criticize Canada. Can you criticize Israel on the basis of its existential aspects, its right to exist? The answer is no. That is where you cross the line into anti-Semitism. Israel is a Jewish state, and that's no different than saying that Iran is a Muslim state or other countries of that ilk. Nobody is questioning their right to exist, whether we like them or not. Nobody should be questioning Israel's right to exist. Israel is a democratic country. It is a country that is a good friend to Canada, and Canada a good friend to Israel. And when we have people on the front lawn of Queen's Park saying, no, it shouldn't be there, that's where we cross the line.
All right, now don't you think that you have to give the organizers the benefit of the doubt first and see what happens versus asking Queen's Park to shut it down before it's happened?
Well, to coin a phrase, been there, done that. We did that last year. I'm always prepared to give the benefit of the doubt. But having said that, I represent a riding, Thornhill, that is 40% Jewish. I'm Jewish myself, full disclosure. There are other constituencies in the province of Ontario where the Jewish voice is heard. I speak for an awful lot of Jewish people. Jewish people are concerned about Israel. They're concerned about what is said about it. They're concerned about their own Jewishness in that context. And I think it's fair to say that the freedom of expression that was exercised last year by the same group, demonstrating on Al Quds Day, the last day of the month of Ramadan, overstepped their boundaries, and and has given offense to the Jewish community of the province of Ontario. And when permits are granted, it should be taken on that basis, that there's a balance that has to be struck. And I don't think that this balance has been struck given the performance in the past of this group. And that's why I think that the question of a permit this year has to be taken very, very seriously.
All right, Peter, we've got about 30 seconds here. Security at Queen's Park obviously has to be free of any political interference. But does this situation not indicate that there needs to be some oversight?
There absolutely needs to be some oversight. I have every confidence in security at the Legislature building and what's called the precinct grounds, that there will be no violence, that there won't be any kind of an outbreak of anything that we would find repugnant. But I think it's repugnant enough to have a group demonstrating here with signs and with speech that push the line to the absolute limit, indeed some would say having crossed it.
That's Progressive Conservative MPP Peter Shurman from Thornhill. Peter, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure, both of you.